Welcome back to Thinking Cap, and in this one, it's my Game Week 7 preview guide where I'll bring you the latest injury updates, team news, and Game Week 7 betting projections, which helps us identify which fixtures to target this weekend. Thinking Cap activated. Let's begin with the team news. Andoni Iraola confirmed Bournemouth have their full squad available apart from Tyler Adams, who is edging closer to a return. Fabian Hertzeler, Brighton coach, said that Simon Adingra is a doubt for the Spurs match, and he also said that Van Heck will be out for a bit, and that it will be a shorter injury time frame than João Pedro, which is really interesting because Van Heck came out last week and said he's basically out for a month, which would put João Pedro out for a lot longer than that. And basically, I would probably be considering to sell João Pedro if I did own him in the next couple weeks. Eddie Howe confirmed both strikers, Isak and Wilson, will be out of action, and both of them are aiming for returns after the international break, which would be in game week 8. This likely means Anthony Gordon is playing number 9, and he's definitely on penalties. There were some small doubts around Shar Pope and Kieran Trippier, but Eddie Howe did say all of them should be okay to play in game week 7. Arne Slot has no new news apart from the fact that Chiesa is actually a doubt for the Crystal Palace game, which basically locks 90 minutes for Mo Salah, a very good sign if you do own the Egyptian. Harvey Elliott is still out long term as well. Now onto the Spurs news. Ange said that overall the squad is a bit tired after a Thursday away tie in the Europa League, and Udogie has been struggling for fitness, but Ange did say that he should be fine. The big news really was that Son Heung-min is not ready to play in Game Week 7. Ange did say, he's pushing hard for a return early, but yes, guys, Son will be out for the Brighton game, and he's not going on international duty with South Korea, and this likely confirms a Timo Werner start, and it also locks Dom Solanke on Spurs penalty duty. There wasn't any notable team news from Pep. He did confirm De Bruyne, Bob, Ake, and Rodri are all out for Game Week 7, and he did state that Erling Haaland is fit and available for the Fulham game alongside everyone else. Maresca confirmed Reece James is the only injury in the Chelsea squad. Chukwuemeka was ill for the Ghent game, which is why he wasn't in the squad, but there's no other Chelsea news apart from that. Gary O'Neill confirmed that 2 of his centre-backs are struggling with fitness issues. Dawson did not complete full Wolves training this week, but he still is likely to feature. Bueno has some fitness issues as well, but O'Neill said he hopes Bueno can be okay ahead of Game Week 7. On Everton, Sean Dyche did an early press conference on Thursday, but I did receive news from Ukrainian sources that Mykolenko has picked up a calf strain, which sets him back anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. He won't be available in Game Week 7, guys. Jared Branthwaite is also a doubt for Game Week 7, although there is a higher likelihood he does play against Newcastle. Arteta said Zinchenko will likely return after the international break, so that would be in Game Week 8. Odegaard is pushing hard for a return as well, but not yet, and Jurrien Timber has been participating in a specialized training program, although interestingly, Jurrien Timber was not called up for the Netherlands squad, so I don't think he will start in Game Week 7. Mikel did say he will make a decision this afternoon regarding Timber, and he also said Tomiyasu and Ben White are really close to returning as well. Erik ten Hag was quite coy regarding team news. He had no real updates on Mason Mount or Kobe Mainoo. He said they will see if Mainoo and Mount will be available for the Aston Villa game on Sunday. Garnacho and Maguire are struggling with minor issues, but they made the Europa League squad, and both of them came on the pitch in the second half. Bruno Fernandes is also available after his red card was successfully appealed. Oliver Glasner said Matthias Franca has suffered another injury, and he suggested that it's very unlikely he features again in 2024. So it's looking like that's a long-term thing. Riyad, Doucouré, and Chris Richards are all out ahead of the Liverpool clash. Rob Holding is also out of contention due to a disciplinary issue. Chalobah, though, he does have a chance to start this weekend. Glasner said Trevor is approaching full fitness levels and was a bit misty regarding Chalobah's full availability, stating, "Let's see what happens tomorrow in regards to whether he's ready to start or not. If he is starting, that's definitely a big boost for the Crystal Palace defense." Fulham only have 2 absentees, and none of them are that important. Striker Carlos Vinicius and George Cuenca, I don't know how to pronounce it, they're both out for the City game, and everyone else is available for selection, which is really good news for Fulham. Nuno Santo mentioned 2 absentees, Danilo and Ibrahim Sangare, but apart from that, the rest of the squad is available, and Gibbs White is back from his 1-match ban from the red card in the Brighton game as well, which will be a massive boost for Nottingham Forest. They played Taiwo and Wood against Fulham, and it's safe to say that was not the best and most effective strategy. Thomas Frank and Brentford have had a big boost ahead of the Wolves fixture. Norgard is fit for Game Week 7, which is a massive plus for the Bees. Rico Henry is back in training, but he isn't quite ready for a start yet. Brentford's injury list includes Aaron Hickey, striker Thiago, Josh Da Silva, Wisa, Gustavo Nunes, and Matthias Jensen. And finally, with the Aston Villa team news, Unai Emery said that both Jacob Ramsey and Leon Bailey are doubts for the match against Man United. Amadou Onana faces a late fitness test, but Emery did say that he does think Onana will be available as it's not a very serious injury. On to the Game Week 7 projections now, and by the way guys, all of these data infographics are from RobTFPL on Twitter. It's a great account. Go drop him a follow to find more insightful resources like these. Obviously, Arsenal are top of clean sheet projections and attacking projections as well. 3.05 projected goals is the highest for Game Week 7, and we know how good Arsenal have been at home, and honestly, Southampton are pretty dog shit, so I'm not really expecting much from them in this game. The clean sheet odds look pretty great at 55%, and I do think this game has a lot of goals for Arsenal. Southampton statistically are one of the worst defenses in the league. They've also conceded the most XGC, expected goals conceded, from set pieces out of all 20 Premier League clubs. So having the Arsenal assets who are either taking set pieces or who are the targets from set pieces looks to be a very good place to invest your stonks this weekend. Man City have the second best projections with a home game against Fulham, who, mind you, I think they've been pretty good this season. They've conceded 2 goals in their 2 away Premier League matches so far, and those 2 away games were at Old Trafford and at the City Ground. The fixtures, we can quite positively say they weren't easy games at all. So I do think that they will pose more of a challenge to Man City than they did last season. Chelsea sit 3rd top in projections for Game Week 7. They've got a decent home fixture in Nottingham Forest. I do think this will be a much tougher game though than Brighton. Forest have historically been a tricky match for Chelsea since they've come up, and I do think Nuno's low block will be more effective than Hurtzeller's high line was last weekend. Still though, I think it's a really favorable fixture for your Chelsea attackers, and 36% clean sheet odds is the 3rd highest at the moment, although Liverpool are only 2% behind in the clean sheet odds, and they are actually playing in the early kickoff away from home against Crystal Palace. So it just shows you how strong that Liverpool defense is in the bookies' eyes. They've got the best projections out of all away teams in the Premier League this weekend. 2.2 projected goals and 34% clean sheet odds. Definitely, I wouldn't be selling your Liverpool assets this game week unless you've got a Diaz or a Jota and we do get a leak close to the deadline that they aren't starting. The bookies are fancying Spurs to perform really well against Brighton at home. I expect Hurtzeller, though, I do think he's going to play a little bit more pragmatically, a little bit deeper, a deeper defensive line, and that definitely does need to be implemented. So I wouldn't go too crazy on the Spurs assets this weekend. I do think Spurs are slightly overhyped this game week. Hurtzeller said in his post-match press conference following the Chelsea battering, we need to go back to the drawing board. So guys, I do expect some playstyle changes whilst Van Heck is out, definitely. I've seen a lot of knee-jerk transfers for the likes of a Brennan Johnson, Madison, even Kulusevski, and if you are considering a move for a Spurs attacker this week, I'd probably just wait another week because the international break is after Game Week 7, and having 2 transfers or an extra transfer is likely to be more beneficial after the break. And oh, by the way, if you do really want a Spurs attacker, I just think go and get Solanke now because he's hogging all the XG and he's the one I think you really need. But even getting a second one I think is just a little bit knee-jerky. It's a little bit too much, and I'm not quite sure about that. The other games are pretty tight though in terms of projections. West Ham have a decent edge in projected goals over Ipswich, and Bournemouth are the favorites against Leicester City. Brentford Wolves also predicted to be a tight one, but Brentford also got 29% clean sheet odds, and I do really hope they keep it clean because I have my boy Flecky in net and I need some points from him in game week 7. Surprising that Newcastle, actually their goal projections are at 1.75, considering Gordon will be playing in the number 9 role once again. I do think that hampers and will hamper their attack, although Everton, they do have some defensive injuries, so it could be a good game for the Newcastle assets like a Barnes and a Gordon, even one of the midfielders or the defenders. And finally, guys, Aston Villa, Man United, very, very tight projections from the bookies in this game, and I can really understand why. When Ten Hag is in a really rough patch, he does have a sneaky knack of just picking up points, and we've got quite a good record against Villa. But that Porto game was a shocker. Our defense was really bad. We're conceding a bunch of chances. And, this game looks like the toughest one for me, at least personally, to call this weekend. But I think for your attackers, it's a great fixture for both teams. But that is a wrap on my Game Week 7 preview guide. If you did find this video insightful, then hit the like button. And if you want to know who I'm recommending for captaincy and why, check out this one right here. Good luck this game week, guys, and may your arrow be green. Peace.